When was the first time he hit me? He had been working outside. I walked over to ask him a question. He turned around, hit me across the face with his hand, hard. That was the day before our wedding. I was in shock.
When he started drinking early in the morning, I knew it was going to be a bad day. One night, I locked myself in the bedroom and slept with a little boy on each side of me and an axe in my hands in case he broke the door down.
When I was about 7 months pregnant with my daughter, my husband threw me down the steps. My mother, who was in the living room, heard the noise and came running. By the time she got to me, he was at the bottom of the steps, kicking me in the stomach.
When I went back to that place with the police officers to grab some of my things, I noticed the flowers on the wallpaper, on the windows that kept it dark and stopped people from knowing what was happening. In that moment, I realized I could have died there. Those flowers on that wallpaper could have been the last flowers I ever saw.
When people think about domestic violence, they probably imagine the black eye or the physical marks first, but domestic violence is so much more than that.
He was very good at what he did. A lot of times there were no visible marks.
It's verbal abuse, emotional abuse, controlling who she talks to, where she goes.
I wasn't allowed to have friends and was locked inside the apartment, except when I went to work.
When I came home from work one day in the winter, he had thrown all my clothes out onto the lawn from our second-story apartment and changed the lock.
Controlling the children and manipulating the children against the victim also.
Once he set the boys on the couch and told them they had to watch. While he beat me, he told them this is what they had to learn. How to take care of their woman when she got out of line.
Controlling finances, controlling if she can work, where she can work, if she's got access to bank accounts or to the car.
When you heard 4 hours of yelling and screaming how you used up all the gas, he's got to be to work and now he can't go to work because you used gas in the truck to go to the grocery store.
It isn't just men on women abuse. It is same-sex couples. It is women on men abuse.
For 5 good years, I never received a dime. Even some people, some friends, sent me money through the mail. When the mail comes, she opens the mail and takes the money.
She expected me to always be busy. No time to sit, no time to relax. Scrub the floors, wash the walls, do the laundry, mow the lawn.
It's about power and control. It's not just about the physical abuse.
Sometimes he would force me out onto our tiny second-story balcony, lock me out, make me sleep out there.
It crosses all boundaries. It doesn't happen in poor neighborhoods. It doesn't happen in certain racial or ethnic neighborhoods. It happens anywhere.
He didn't want to mark up my face, you know. He knew men who did that, but he didn't want to do that. He pushed me, he shoved me, he destroyed my furniture.
I have had clients who were themselves in law enforcement and were victims of domestic violence at home.
He found the paint, those half gallons of paint, and he just threw them all over the downstairs.
Women who are more affluent, who may have a strong education background, are just as affected by domestic violence. They just may have more resources to turn to.
I went back to a lawyer and I said, do something about it.
They may be able to turn to their family and stay with them, and their family can support them during their time of need, where more women who don't have those kinds of resources have to turn to shelters.
In Nigeria, I was a high school teacher. Somebody gave me an offer to come to the United States to better my future, to make enough money to help in the education of my children. It was very difficult when I was leaving the children. In fact, we cried. Without my children, without my family, no friends, it was horrible. And I look unto God. I said, when will this come to an end? Is this how I'm going to die? I cried all night. God, help me. Let me see my children again.
He once hit me with a golf club and also with a piece of electrical conduit that had the copper wires exposed. Many times, he would stuff a sock in my mouth so the neighbors wouldn't hear me screaming.
People often struggle to understand the behavior of a domestic violence victim. How did she get in trouble? And why did she stay?
When we first started dating, it was just like it was heaven. He was good to me. He opened the doors up for me. He took me out to eat.
Whatever she wants, he's going to give her. And he's loving and wonderful and terrific and just walks on water and just a great individual. Then he puts down the hammer gradually.
He started putting his hands on me, and after that, then the drugs came in.
A batterer will try to isolate the victim from all other supports that she may have in her life.
No friends, no family. Maybe she gets pregnant, has children.
My abuser kept me away from my family, kept me away from friends, wasn't allowed to have friends, locked me in the apartment, wasn't allowed to go outside of the apartment except to work. Then he'd come to work and follow me at work.
Probably tells her what she's going to cook, where she's going to go, what she's going to do. Maybe she can go to the doctor and take the kids. Very, very limited. All about power and control and what I can do.
I was afraid. I don't know anybody. United States is a strange world. I don't even know where to begin. And I was threatened that.
While I was pregnant with my son, we started arguing about dumb stuff, as we often did. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and he pulled out a shotgun and pointed it to my chest, threatening that he could kill me any time he wanted to. And while I was sitting there facing death, I actually felt relief. Relief that it would all be over.
When I did get out and I did leave, I would always be afraid of I was gone too long. I'm somewhere I shouldn't be. I need to be at the house taking care of things.
Nothing like sleeping because I might be caught anytime. It doesn't matter. 12 midnight, 1 a.m., anytime. Once you hear, Celestina, you have to jump.
Other people from the outside can say, why didn't you leave? What's wrong with you? You should have left. There's plenty of jobs out there.
I was thoroughly convinced I had nowhere to go. I had no car. I had no job. I had been isolated from everybody for so long.
When I finally left, I didn't know what to do. I hadn't worked in like 13 years. I was just a homemaker.
Typically, they haven't worked. They don't work. The only person working in the family is the abuser. So they're very beholden to that person for everything, for whether their children eat, what they eat, how they eat. Most of them don't have a very good education, a work history. They're really totally and completely dependent on this person for everything and anything.
If I speak to anybody, the police will arrest me and I will be in jail and I will never see my children anymore. So that was why I was scared, of trying to escape.
They really don't have a life of their own. And I don't think they know how to make decisions based on that, because the abuser has made all the decisions for them. And they get used to that.
I would drink, I would smoke, I would take the pills that he put in my hand for me to take. Yeah, I did it all. Anything that he wanted me to do. So that way it just wouldn't be him screaming.
Now that it's 25, 20, 30 years later, it's embarrassing to think that somebody has that much control over you. And you don't feel as though there's a way out when you're in that situation, even though how many people along the way reached their hands out and tried to pull me out of that situation. At the time, you feel there's nothing that can be done.
We were at a movie, but he wanted to leave and get high. I didn't want to get high. I just wanted to pick up my son. It turned into a fight.
As far as the criminal justice system, it's like 1 step forward, 4 steps back. I think there have been a lot of strides made, but we still have a long way to go.
He pulled the car over, dragged me out, and threw me in the snow. Then he took his belt off and started beating me with it. And when he was done, he got in the car, drove away, and left me stranded in the snow.
The criminal justice system is set up to protect the rights of the accused, not necessarily to be sympathetic to a victim. And so we do see a lot of our survivors struggling to have their needs met, to be heard.
I have spinal and neck injuries and permanent nerve damage in my face. My left eye periodically goes blind. I have had 9 surgeries in all, including a complete hysterectomy. At that point, my body had been through so much, I suffered a heart attack. And he is still a free man after all that he did to me.
I've testified on the residents' behalf because a lot of times people don't understand that survivors haven't done anything wrong. They were the victim, and the whole point of me going is to help the court system understand that.
My abuser lost his job because he used heroin and meth. He refused to take a drug test at work that he knew he'd fail. He was very angry, and he loaded up 4 guns with ammo. He told me if I did anything to upset him, he would kill me. I was terrified. I didn't eat or sleep for 4 whole days.
In defending herself, she might scratch him or leave marks, scratches on his face or hand, even if she's the one who calls the police. When they show up and he claims that she's hysterical and she attacked him, I have seen many instances where the woman was arrested or taken out of the house, even though she was the one seeking help.
I'm the one that called you. He ran into me with his car in the backyard, pinning me against a fence. He warned me he'd kill me if I went to the police.
Unfortunately, many times, the court doesn't look at a survivor as a victim of crime. They look at a survivor as part of the problem.
I was watching TV with a girlfriend of mine, and he accused me of being in love with her. He was drunk, and he said if he couldn't have me, no one could. He beat me to a pulp, blackened both of my eyes, bruised me up and down. That time I did call the police. He served 1.5 years in prison.
So it's been, I don't know, very refreshing.
After emergency needs are met, Bethany House residents often begin to focus on developing life skills.
If someone's going to become independent, they have to understand how to budget money,
If you don't have the money in there, they do not take it out. So.
how to improve their credit score. One of the goals in the financial literacy class is that they open a savings account or a checking account, and we teach them how to do that.
Sometimes there's physical disabilities happening because of the abuse that's gone on.
The blows that I would take in the middle of the evening have left me with kidneys that are considered boxer's kidneys. The horrendous sexual things that I went through with my abuser I didn't stop bleeding.
This type of work can be really challenging. You hear a lot of raw, hard things, and you help people through some really emotional times.
I had an entire team working on taking away what he had done to me so that I could live.
Once upon a time, I lived with the devil. But today, I'm not afraid of him anymore. That door to my past is now nailed shut. It's a wall.
The Lord is my shepherd. I'm a highly religious woman, and I kept praying, and I believed that God answers by prayer, and He really did answer my prayers.
Thank you is not enough. I really believed I was headed for a casket, and I'm alive.
I never thought I'd be where I'm at today, and it took other people to get me here. There's no way I did it by myself at all. God works through other people. The people He's put in my life have been amazing.
I could have ended up one of those statistics, one of those women that died at the hands of an abusive man. I could have had a son that was raised in an abusive home and in turn turned out to be an abusive man because that's all he knew. Had to stop the cycle.
As we go marching, marching, unnumbered women dead, go crying through our singing, their ancient call for bread.
The fact that we still need a Bethany House so desperately is heartbreaking. The fact that we have a Bethany House gives you hope.